Hi, welcome to Gentle Yoga. I'm Jeani, your host for the next hour. Thank you for joining me. We're here at the ACC Community Room. And for the next hour, we'll be focusing on gentle yoga to help us feel a little more balanced, a little more focused, and just stretched out, hopefully. So we'll start at the back of the mat. And as you begin, just in our mountain position, this is our home position at the back of the mat. And as we're arriving, you don't have to change the quality of your breath. Just notice how you're arriving. How does the feet feel? How do the legs? You can focus on the air entering the nose, exiting the nose. And as we begin a quieter focus on the breath, we'll begin to cultivate our breath. Bringing our left hand to rest on our chest, right hand on the belly. Start a slower breath cycle. Just a little more intention with the inhales. Introduce that brief pause before you start the exhale through the nose. And at the bottom of that exhale, you can press the belly hand in towards the spine. Help expel that air. We can finish cultivating our breath by expanding the space at the back of the throat. See if you can hear the ocean or something like a sigh. And as you connect to that Ujjayi breath, we'll use this relaxed ocean breath throughout our practice. Let's go ahead and bring our hands down to the side. I'm bringing movement to the breath. Go ahead and give yourself a nice gentle bounce to the knees, lift the toes, lift the heels. And then we'll start to stand taller in our mountain, palms facing forward. Inhaling, feeling the energy lift through the body, through the crown of the head. On the exhale, feel that energy returning back down in reverse direction, returning to the earth. Fully exhaled here. Let's start to inhale, roll the weight towards the toes, keeping the body as upright as you can till you find that tipping point. And then use the next breath. See if you can start to roll the weight at the soles of the feet towards the heels until you feel that tipping point. And we're just going from the toe to the heel with our center of gravity until we find something that feels like center. Hopefully above the arches, near to the heels, dropping into our mountain. Inhale, energize upwards, just a little taller, a little longer every time we return. And with that energy upwards, we're going to just exhale, roll the weight towards the outer right edge of your feet. Inhale all the way back up to center. And then exhale to the other side. And we can rock from side to side in this 3-part breath. And just giving that horizontal mapping of our foundation. Returning to center, dropping back in. Let's inhale, reset. Tall through the crown of the head. And as we start making small circles radiating from the ankles, getting a little wider through the soles of the feet towards the outer edges, it can be a balance act. And once we find that edge, we can tighten in the circles and return to center. Each time getting a better idea of where that is. Bending once more. Inhaling nice and tall, lengthening up through the crown of the head. We make small circles in the opposite direction, noticing any differences. Just giving ourselves some lubrication at the ankles, radiating outwards, finding that perimeter, and then returning back to center. Go ahead and lift one foot, lift the other. If you have a tendency to grab the mat with your feet, feeling heavy, you can always lift the feet as we transition from mountain to the next pose. And standing up nice and tall, we'll move over to lubricating our hips. So inhaling nice and tall in our mountain, let's bring some standing weight to the left side of our body. Feeling that center there, we can lift the sole of the right foot, just hovering it, finding our balance. We might have to tap down our toe, our right ball of the foot, right toe, whatever it takes to keep that balance for a few seconds. And then we can let that right foot land. Inhale once more. We're going to bend the right knee and bring an internal to an external rotation and bring it on down. We'll do a total of 4 of these. And just to see how your hips are this morning. Then go ahead, give yourself a counter stretch, a nice bounce, and returning back to mountain. We'll bring standing weight to the left side once more and go from an outer to an inner rotation. And then we can bring the right foot back. Once we're done with that, right leg, returning to our mountain once more. Good inhale, and then let's pour some standing weight to the right side. Lifting the sole of the left foot, just finding that balance. And once that's there, then we're going to bring that left foot back down, let it land, come back to mountain, and inhale once more. Standing weight to the right side, and we'll do an internal to external rotation. 4 of these total. Oh, you might get a pop. You might get a little crackle. And then coming back to our mountain, standing once more, and then external to internal rotation. Just enough to lubricate the hips and see where your range of mobility is today. All right, let's come on back down to our mountain, moving on up to the body. Up the body to the shoulders, palms facing forward. We're now getting to that point higher up in the body where hopefully our mountain is a little taller. You can get your hips and gently just press them forward as you're uplifting. And that way you get just a little taller, stacking those joints, the ankles under the knees, under the hips, under the shoulders, and eventually under the earlobes. So now let's, with the next inhale, palms facing forward, we're lifting the shoulders up. Exhale, roll them back and let them melt down. See if you can tuck those wingtips into the mid-back. A total of 4 of these just to get some mobility facilitated by that ocean breath. And the rolls on the exhale are backwards. And with the next set, we inhale up and roll forward on the exhale, still tucking in the shoulder blade tips into the mid-back at the bottom of the exhale. And go for one more roll. And then we can reset once more. Standing in our mountain, we'll move up to the neck, throat, mouth, palms facing forward, chin gently tucking under. Feel that crown of the head just lifting up towards the ceiling. Inhaling nice and tall. Exhale, let the right earlobe drop towards the right shoulder, but we want a good space, about the space of a tennis ball between the lobe and the shoulder. Feeling that length on the left side of the neck, you can inhale and then exhale to turn the gaze if you haven't already. It's a total of 4 breath cycles here. Maybe the last one, you can exhale, releasing as much as you can to the right side. Maybe even the eyes rest on the rightmost of your periphery. And after the very last breath cycle, inhale the eyes, the gaze, the head completely back up. So all you have to do is dip on over to the other side with your exhale. Inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to turn the gaze. Don't hesitate to expand the back of the throat, utilizing the ocean breath to help move the energy in and the toxins out. Then after you finish your last breath cycle, inhale the eyes, the gaze, the head completely back up, and allow the gaze to lower to about the top of the mat, about 6 feet in front of you. Nice long neck, and again, about a tennis ball size space between the chin and the chest. Engaging the core, keeping everything from the shoulders down, one column of support. And after your very last exhale, go ahead and inhale the eyes back to center, past the center, towards the ceiling. And once you're there, stop craning the neck and give yourself the chance to open up the front of the throat. You can open your mouth. You can make a small O to a large O. You can gently sway the jaw from left to right. And after your very last breath cycle, go ahead and just inhale back to center. And then give yourself any residual release movement. And then we'll start with our modified Sun Salutations, beginning with our folds. We're just going to energize the arms downward as we're coming back to our mountain. Inhale, extend the arms up above. Exhale, engage the core and start to hinge at the hips to fold with a nice long back. You can always float down or walk the hands down the legs. And just give yourself 5 good, deep breath cycles to unfold. If the back of the legs are tight, just bend the knees. You can deeply bend them if you need to. You can bring the forearms to rest on the thighs. But you're just eventually, hopefully, finding that center of column from the hips down to the heels and allowing the tailbone down the spine, down the back, to this crown of the head to just start folding. With the help of gravity, you might be able to just use that natural traction to help release in the upper body. Let your arms be nice and loose, even if they're folded. And you can bend one knee and try to bend the other alternately. See if you can sway the hips a little bit. Sometimes just that intention might be what you need. And after your 5 deep breath cycles, we're going to slowly curl up by engaging the core first. Press into the feet, firm up the legs. Engage, firm up the belly. Start to straighten up the spine, one vertebra at a time. Pressing into the legs, returning to our mountain once more. Give yourself a moment to let the blood rush back to the head. We're going to do one more fold, a little shorter this time. Extending downwards the arms. We're going to inhale. Lifting up with the entire torso at the top of the inhale. Engage the core and exhale to fold. Hinging at the hips, floating, walking hands down. And then in the second fold, maybe swaying the hips. Maybe noticing if the roll of the weight at the soles of the feet have rolled outwards or inwards. See if you can distribute the weight evenly at the soles of the feet, but a little closer to the tops of the ankle, nearer to the heels. Get that column of support identified. And then one more deep inhale, one more deep exhale. And we can come up curling once more, engage the core, or extend the arms. Come up, engage core once more with a deep, strong inhale. Hands down, heart center. And we'll start our walking meditation, pressing into the palms, engaging the core. Inhale, right foot up. Exhale, right foot down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale it down. And as we're making this slow, methodical walk to the top of the mat, one full breath cycle per step. At the top of the mat, we'll meet in mountain, looking down. Press into the palms, watch the fingertips rise. Separating the palms, hinge at the hips, engage the core and fold once more, floating down. Fully exhaled here. Let's inhale to lengthen into a half lift. Press into the legs, only to your ability. Lengthen through the back. Look down at the floor. Whether your hands, fingertips are touching the floor or on the thighs, shins, you're just trying to lengthen from the tailbone to the crown of the head. If you can do a 90-degree angle, that's great. If it's more at a 45-degree angle, that's fine too, but just try to lengthen. And then with the next exhale, go ahead and fold once more, bringing the hands back to the mat and step a foot back, step another foot back, and then lengthen into your high plank for a moment. Then drop the knees gently, untuck the toes, and come into your modified high plank. Engage the core. Make sure the belly button is moving towards the spine, and that you have nice long arms. If you feel like your your shoulders might be extended past the wrists, go ahead and lift up the knees and move a fraction back. So you have that nice shoulder over the wrists. Go ahead and tuck the toes with the next inhale, lift up the hips, and exhale, press the hips, heels, and legs down to your down dog. Your first one being pretty lengthy. Give yourself some time to check it out. See how your body feels here. We're looking for the heels lowering towards the mat at some point, but they don't have to touch. We want to keep a deep bend if the backs of the legs are super tight, eventually lengthening as we come along. And again, feeling if we're able to get length in the arms and the legs, we have this upside down V. Hips are moving up as energy is moving down into the hands and the feet. Give yourself a nice deep pulling of the belly button towards the spine. Inhale, roll the eyes towards the hands. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk to the back of the mat. To your fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core. Come on out, your choice. All the way back up to mountain. Hands down, heart center. Our second meditation. Inhaling, pressing into the palms. Right foot up. Exhale the foot down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale it down. If you feel a little wobbly, come back to the breath. Press into the palms. Engage the core. And at the top of the mat, looking down, watch the fingertips rise with the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step a right leg, left leg, long high plank this time. Energy from the shoulders down to the wrists, heels to the crown of the head, and bring that belly button to the spine. One more deep inhale, looking downward. One more deep exhale. Inhale, hips come up. Exhale, back into the down dog. Our second one this time is a little shorter. You can go ahead and walk your dog, bending one knee and then the other. See where your head is, somewhere in between the upper arms eventually. And lifting up the tailbone, keeping the bend to the back of the knees. If your legs are tight. And one more deep inhale, look to the hands, or walk the hands to the back, to the fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come on up once more, your choice. All the way back up. Exhaling hands, down heart center, down to the side. Palms facing forward, allowing the breath to catch up. You might feel a little warmer. We've got a little bit of our inner fire stoked. It's a great time to get a little bit of water if you need to. Other than that, we can come on down to our standing pose before we go down to the mat. One thing to think about is our balance and how we're aligning all our joints. So we're going to do a sort of a focused standing exercise in balance with our mountain pose. So feet, we'll start with the foundation of the feet, hips distance apart. I'm going to turn to the side so you can notice as we're working up from the feet to the ankles, underneath hopefully the knees. If you have a bend to the knees, see if you can lengthen, if you can straighten out the legs, just to bring that knee somewhat above the ankle. And then notice where the hips are. If we've been sitting for decades, we might be tented We want to eventually start to press the hips forward while we're lengthening upwards. So what we're hopefully doing is bringing the hips right over the knees, which are right over the ankles. And then the same with the shoulders. As we're lengthening up to the body, is it pitched forward? It's a lot of computer work, a lot of cell phone. Is it just a lot of, working in this area? We want to bring the pitch of the spine directly perpendicular to the pelvic bowl, to the rest of our mountain here, getting ever taller, ever stronger, and feeling as if that very last joint structure support of the ears over the shoulders, over the hips, and the string pulling up at this crown of the head. Gentle tuck of the chin. Now as we're standing here, now try to relax any muscles you don't need to keep this general form, but still feel energized from that center point all the way up through to the crown of the head. So with the next deep inhale, we're going to lengthen the arms at our sides and start bringing them up above our head. If you can get the palms to touch, great. If they can't, then go ahead and just reach here. We're reaching up, and then palms down. We're going to exhale the hands down towards the side. Go ahead and bend your knee. Give yourself a nice little bounce. We don't want to hyperextend the backs of the knees. And then we're going to come back to our mountain once more. See if you need to readjust your stance. And once more, palms facing up. We're going to stand really nice and strong in our tallest mountain. And then go ahead and inhale those arms up above and see if you can touch the palms this time. If not, still, we're reaching upwards and gently pressing upwards. See if you can press the hips forward, whether the palms are touching or they're separated. And then let's go ahead and release the palms, hands back to the side. Go ahead and shake out the arms, the wrists, bounce a little bit on the knees. Give yourself a gentle swing. Nothing too strong, just gentle. It's sort of deactivating, hopefully, any muscles we have not consciously been able to turn off. Alrighty, so coming on over one more time. We're going to inhale nice and tall in our mountain, extend the arms above our head, and see if you can reach the fingers together to interlock and extend through the pointer fingers. If you can do that, we're going to just lift up. Imagine your fingers are just being lifted up. And breathe deeply, pressing the hips forward, exhaling deeply. One more inhale, lift up. Exhale, let the arms float downward. And then we'll go ahead and shake that out. And in that way, all we're doing is aligning the body, allowing your connection to how it feels to be moving vertically upwards, noticing if you're pitching forward, pitching back. These are all things that we can notice and start hopefully then healing or correcting or just learning how to maintain that structure. Let's go ahead and make our way down to the mat. And we're now coming down to a more cooling period. We'll meet in staff. Go ahead and have a folded blanket. If you have the need for a little bit of cushion between your hips. If you need something just a little bit, you can have something a little soother, a little quieter here. Okay, so as we're cooling down, coming into a staff position, we may want to be higher than our knees in our staff position. So, a folded blanket gives us a little bit of elevation, but we don't want to hyperextend the backs of the knees. See if this helps you to have a somewhat 90-degree angle. We might need to work on that. We want to see if our legs are turning out extremely. See if you can bring the knees and the toes to point upwards. Maybe move a little bit of gluteal flesh if you need. And then give yourself just a little bit of a jiggle, a little just left and right swaying motion. Point the toes, press out through the heels, and then let your legs relax. And hopefully they're somewhat pointed towards the top of the mat. In keeping with that balance in this staff, we're looking at your sits bones, your balance. Is it off to the left or off to the right? Finding that center by just rocking from left to right on the sits bones and then seeing if you can find that centered feeling. Same thing with the pelvic bowl. If we tip it back or tip it forward, and you can do that by just moving the hips, these hip crests, iliac crests, forward and back like that until you find once more a sort of tilting of the hips at the front. So if you had a tail, it'd be sticking outward towards the back. So you have a top tilt forward, and that helps the spine to come into this 90-degree angle. And we're looking for something to our best ability. Once we're there, we're going to go ahead and bring the bend to this left knee, bringing it on up, and seeing if we can bring the sole of the foot down onto the mat. This might be as far as you can bend your knee. Give yourself at least 3 good deep breath cycles to figure out where your edge is. Some of us might be able to bring the heel closer. You might need to bring the torso back a little bit. But we're hoping to keep that balance once more on the sits bone. So if you really have to lean back or out of the way in order to bring this heel forward, we're not going to sacrifice that. We want to keep the balance of the foundation of the hips down while we're bending this knee, bringing it closer, the hip and the heel, as we're keeping the torso in this upright position. Now, if you notice something funny going on with the right leg, is it starting to really swing out, externally rotate out, you can bring that back to center. Want to keep most everything in this base bridge position, and as you draw the leg inward, that's the only, hopefully, movement we're making. If you can't keep your position comfortable and steady for the next 3 to 5 breath cycles, you can always come out a little more. It might mean that you've just gone in a little too intensely. So as we're focusing on the next few breath cycles before we end, we're just hopefully bringing that connection to the Ujjayi breath, keeping the torso upright. And after your very last breath, we'll go ahead and slide this left leg down. Go ahead and tap out the knee. You can make wiggling movements with the toes. You can gently rotate externally and internally, and then bring it back to center. We're going to sit up once more in our staff, maybe a little taller, maybe a little more 90-degree angled, and drawing this knee up slightly until we get the sole of the foot up once more. We're going to draw it a little closer, and then slowly allow the external rotation of this left hip. See where this left knee lands. You might have to play with the placement of the sole of the left foot. Maybe it's at the knee. Maybe it's at the calf of the right leg. Maybe it's at the inner thigh. Whatever you're doing, you're opening up on this left side and allowing gravity, allowing its own natural edge of the left hip to be discovered. So you may need to come out if you've gone a little far. Give yourself a good 3 to 5 breaths to figure out where your first comfort zone is. And once you can hold that, give yourself 3 more good deep breath cycles. You can place the palms up. You can keep the palms down at the sides. See what works for you so you can maintain this pose. And after your very last breath cycle, we're going to lean back just a little bit so we can gently guide this left knee back up. And as it comes up, back to center, we can then extend through the left leg. Go ahead and tap that out once more. You might need a gentle external, internal rotation once more to reset this left leg. And then we'll sit up nice and tall in our staff once more. And then once more, we are bending the left knee, bringing it to that comfortable spot where we can rest the sole of the foot on the mat. And then go ahead and lift this foot and see if you can bring it to the side, to the right side of your shin, if not to the right side of your calf, your right calf, or onto the mat completely flat. It might be some version thereof, but we're just bringing this cross midline positioning to our staff. We've been opening up this left hip, moving out to the side, and then we cross the midline. And see if you can keep this knee upwards. If it's easier for you to just keep it out at an angle, we're working towards bringing it upright so that the knee is centered towards the ceiling, and we're hopefully still evenly distributing the weight on our hips. Give yourself one more deep inhale, one more deep exhale, and then we're going to lean back once more and then start to help guide this left foot back and extend through the left leg. Once more. Go ahead and shake out this left leg, tap out the knee, give yourself any movement that feels good. We can now move to the other side, to the right leg. And I'm just going to turn around so you have the benefit of the perspective of this opposite leg. But as we sit up nice and tall in our staff once more, finding that even distribution of weight on our sits bones, knees and toes up, centered towards the ceiling. Go ahead and guide the knee to bend and draw the right foot towards you. Sole of the foot flat on the mat. Once that's there, then you can see about where to find the placement of the sole of the foot. Is it at the left calf? Is it at the left thigh? And remember, if you have to lean over too much or lean back too much, you've gone a little too far. We want to keep that even distribution of weight on the hips so we have the staff positioned intact with the exception of our right knee bending. Once we found that, give yourself a couple more deep breath cycles. And after your last breath, you can just extend through the right leg. Go ahead and tap it out. Internally, externally rotate at the hip so the entire leg is moving. And then we'll do that once more. Resetting in our staff, bending the right knee, drawing it till our sole of the foot is down on the mat, and then slowly allowing this right knee to open to the right side. And notice how it might be. You might need your block here. You might just like gravity to help you open up naturally. But all we're doing here as we're finding that edge, finding the placement of the right foot along the left inner left leg, then we can breathe the 3 breath cycles. Noticing how our body may have changed as we're transitioning. We want to maintain that basic staff shape while we're just using the right knee, right hip to adjust and modify. A couple more breaths here. See if you can release on the exhale. Maybe your right knee will just lower and the right hip will open a little more. And then inhaling, leaning back with the upper torso, guiding the right knee up. And once it's upwards, we can extend through the right leg and just tap that out. Internally, externally rotating the leg just to make sure that we're back to center. And we'll do that one more time. Nice and tall in our staff, bending the right knee. And once we found that spot where we can have the sole of the right foot flat on the mat, we can go ahead and explore where to cross the midline. Is it at the shin of the left leg? Is it at the calf of the left leg? Is it at the mat side on the left? And again, we're hoping to keep the hips. We're hoping not to lean too much in order to get into this position. And just keeping that upright positioning in the torso. Well, we're getting hopefully some nice stretching to the IT band, to the glutes. Tensor fascia lata, all these little tight areas that help us to bend our knee, our hips, to do so much common movements we make every day. Let's go ahead. It's probably done. So we can, when you're ready to come out, we'll go ahead and lean back a little bit. Inhale to release back the sole of the foot and extend down. And give yourself any counter stretching movement that feels good to release muscles we may have forgotten to deactivate. Anyhow, we're coming on down. So as we're moving through there, we're going to come over to Lord of Fishes, where we actually are going to incorporate what we just did with a gentle twist before we move on to our belly. So now we're going to bend the left knee and bring it to the left side, to the right side, wherever we were able to. We're going to sit up nice and tall once more. Extend through the right arm. Exhale, twist while we're still energized upwards until you stop twisting to the left. And then you can bring this right arm down. You can have maybe the right forearm is resting on the right, left knee. Maybe you're still here. Maybe the center of the chest hasn't gone too far, but this right arm is just moving towards the left. Maybe you're all the way twisted to the left side so that you are perpendicular, like you're in between two walls. Wherever you are, once you found that edge, from here, breathe deeply. Notice where your hands are. And 2 deep, good breath cycles on this side. When you're ready to untwist, we'll go ahead and have the arm out and inhaling the center back, the torso back to center and bringing the arm back. Let's go ahead and lean back a little bit and help guide this left foot back to center, internally rotating that left hip before we let the left leg lengthen down the mat. Go ahead and give it a nice little jiggle. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on the right leg. And then we'll turn one more time, but you don't have to. And let's inhale. Once we get to our staff, we're going to inhale, bend the right knee. Give ourselves a moment to place it on the left side, sitting up nice and tall. Extend through the left arm and then turn with the torso as one unit. Until you stop turning, you might bring your right hand over and allow the left arm to come on down. And again, just depends on where you are, but you want to keep the length of the legs as well as the length of the torso as you're still twisted slightly to the right or deeply to the right. And wherever you find your Lord of Fishes on this side, eventually giving yourself 2 deep breath cycles, calling the ocean breath. And ready to come out. We're going to inhale nice and tall, energized upwards, bring this left hand and come all the way back to center. Make sure the torso is back to center. And then we can inhale, leaning back a little bit, lift the right leg, and then internally rotate that right hip before you let the right leg lengthen, tapping it out. And then we'll go ahead and meet on our belly for Sphinx. And as usual, we're just going to give ourselves a few breaths on the belly before we go too much farther. So getting comfortable, coming down one forearm at a time. We've been flexed in this seated position for so long, it may take a little while to unflex. Give yourself just some space. So what you can do is you can either pillow the hands and rest the forehead, or you can take off your glasses if you have them and turn the head to one side. But make sure the neck is in alignment with your spine before you just turn the gaze to one side, resting an apple of a cheek. So wherever you are, you're just giving yourself the first few breaths to kind of let your body get used to, transition to being fully supported by the earth. The tops of your ankles are no longer flexed. Your hips are no longer flexed. You're just hopefully in a neutral, if not a slight extension of these two areas. If your arms are down to the sides, go ahead and press into the chest and the pubic bone to turn the gaze if you haven't already. If your pillowed forehead is there, you can always just gently bring the shoulders down if they're starting to feel a little tired. But hopefully you're not holding those shoulders up, you're just letting them relax. And again, it just takes a little bit of time and space to let the body kind of return to center. So pressing into my chest once more to bring my gaze down. We're moving into our Sphinx. So if your hands can be moved underneath the shoulders, inch them up. We're going to start moving our elbows underneath the shoulders. And then give yourself a nice rock on the pelvis. It just gives yourself a kind of connection to relax. You can point the toes either towards the corners so that the feet are wider than hips distance apart, or you can bring them directly underneath the hips. It's up to you, whichever feels better. But the next thing we're going to do is just start to get to the tips of the toes and walk the legs. It may not be much of a movement other than an intention, but we just want to feel lengthened at the legs and then relax everything from the hips down to the toes. Let them be an anchor. Use the forward motion of pressing into the forearms, palms, and fingertips, pressing down and pulling forward. Use that forward motion to kind of lengthen through the torso. Keep the tops of your shoulder blades away from the ears so you have a nice flat upper shoulder, upper back. And you're looking down somewhere hopefully between your thumbs and not craning the neck. We don't want to crane the neck up. We don't want to crane the neck down. We want a nice, just long, comfortable length of the neck and the eyes resting somewhere in between the hands at about thumb or fingertip level is a great place to keep this openness. You've probably gotten enough time to feel your good edge, so give yourself the opportunity for 3 deep breath cycles. Maybe it's just the skin at the top of your belly moving with each breath. And then after your very last exhale, we're just going to let the chest lower, move the elbows out of its way, and pillow the hands under the forehead one more time, and just let the torso melt into the mat. We're going to keep the chin and the nose on the mat next, and reach our arms down towards our knees. We're just going to extend. Hopefully the tops of the shoulders are feeling nice and open. And then bend the knees. And depending on if you can reach your knees or not, or your feet or not, we're going to move towards the feet, going towards the outer edges. Maybe we can just do the heels. Maybe it's just the back of my socks. But maybe it's just the back of the material on our calves or our ankles. If you can reach the feet, maybe we can bring the fingers to hook onto the inner arches. But we want to make sure your knees are comfortable. You're not bending the knees too much beyond your comfort level. Remember, holding it nice and steady with ease and comfort is, what we're shooting for here. And then go ahead and release and just let the legs come back down. We're going to meet on our back. So however you are able to do that, sometimes just coming onto the forearms and then rolling over to the side. You can do a reverse push-up if your upper body is strong enough, but find your way, hopefully without blocks falling over on you. And what we'll do is meet in a base bridge position so we can have our very last spinal twist. Our very last position before Shavasana. So if you have your blocks nearby, and you can station them at areas where you think you might need them, a good place to start is usually about length of your arms. And then if you have your strap, we can use the strap, or you can use the material of your legs. If you can grab a hold of a toe, you can do that. But we'll start here. In our base bridge position, the sacrum, that flat of the back right above the tailbone is nice and flat. So rock a little bit, find center. And then bring the soles of the feet. Heels shouldn't be too far from your fingertips, but they don't have to touch the buttocks. And then neck, once more in alignment with the spine. We're going to extend through the right leg. You can hook up your strap. You can hook your right toe with your finger. Whatever you're doing, we're just extending through the right leg. And if you're using the strap, this will be probably an easier way for you to maintain the spinal twist, as we'll be spinal twisting to the left and to the right with the same leg. So as this is here, you can use the strap, or you can use just the length of the leg. You can help guide with the opposite arm as you're rolling over. Once this leg is here and extended for a while, we're going to inhale once more, nice and long, press out through the heel. Exhale, relax this right foot, and then extend through the left leg. You might have a tented knee. Give yourself a gentle tapping. Point the toe, press out through the heel gently, and then let it relax. And maybe you might find your calf is a little closer. With the next inhale, we're just going to guide this right leg to the left side first. Now, if you have the strap, you can use your right arm. You can use both straps. But all we're going to do is just start to roll to this left side first. And maybe we can land on this block strategically, or if you have a good deep spinal twist, let gravity help you twist over, or find yourself suspended on this side with the help of the strap or the help of your hands. You can support it this way. There's many ways you can support. You can lift up this right shoulder as you go deeper to the left side. And you just need to find your version of this spinal twist on this side. Once you're there and landed, we're going to breathe 2 deep breath cycles here, supported either by the strap, your left hand, arm, or this block on this left side. One more deep inhale to bring the leg back to center. And we're going to bend the right knee, release the strap, and then let this right foot land. Go ahead and help this left knee bend. Bring the left leg back into base bridge position. Bring your strap over to the side, out of the way, and give ourselves a nice windshield wipe to one side. Arms out to the side, and just let the feet roll to the right edge. Give your knees that space to just roll over. You might be all the way on the mat. You might just be hanging out in the air. When you're ready to roll back to center, we're going to inhale. You can guide your knees up if you need to. Come back flat here. And then we're going to take this same leg, get the strap once more if you need, along the ball of the right foot. And you can, again, use the strap or use your leg. We're going to extend through the left leg and then start to open up with the long extension of the right leg with a flexed foot. We're just opening up. You may need to monitor how open you are by just bringing that block. I am not going to make it there, but I know some of my students can. So if you can, go there. If not, just opening it up and keeping that opening honest with the hold of your strap or your legs. You're just opening up, abducting the right leg from the midline just to get that opening for 3 to 5 breath cycles. And this is one of those poses where, your edge might just be the entirety of this exercise. Sometimes it just abduction of the hip is just not a big movement at all. It might be something that benefits from just holding the pose for a while. All right, we've been here at least for 5 breath cycles. So when you're ready to come out, use your strap, use your hands. Inhale, back to center, and then bend the right knee. Remove any strap. Allow the right foot to land. Bending the left knee once more. And this time, let your knees drop to the left side, towards the left. See if you can release all of this right here in this right hip area. And with one more deep inhale, and guide the knees back up if you need to. Come back to center. We'll move to the left leg. So go ahead and with your strap, we're extending through this left leg with the help of your hands, grabbing onto material if you need, bending the knee if you need to get that strap on, but eventually getting to that point where you're extending through this right leg, bending at the ankle, flexing the foot, pointing the toe, making sure you feel centered. And once you're there, we'll go ahead and extend through the right leg with an exhale. We're going to hold on to the strap with both hands, maybe with one hand, with one left arm out, and then we just spinal twist over to the right side. You may not have much, you might be pretty deep. Just depends on where you are. And on this side, strategic placement of the block, bolster, a chair, maybe your bed's nearby, maybe a wall. But eventually, as you're moving into that last portion of the spinal twist to the right, you're focusing on minor modifications. The left shoulder can always lift as you're twisting, but as you're able to release, you may find the left shoulder starts to make its way back towards that left side, maybe even on the mat. And we're spending, once you found that edge, we're spending 2 to 3 more breath cycles there just to complete this side. When you're ready to come out, we're going to have a deep inhale. You can either use a strap, use a combination of your arm, use the entirety of your hands. Come back to center, bend this left knee, remove the strap, allow the left foot to land. And then bend this other, the right knee, and then allow your knees to gently windshield wipe to the left side. Give yourself a few breaths here. And then inhale, guide your knees if you need to, back to center. We're doing this one more time with our strap, but opening up to the left side with our left foot. So getting our prop, our left leg in order, extending it out, bringing our hand positioning in, letting the right leg long. Making sure we have that prop if we know we can't open up too much to the left, but giving ourselves that ability to open up either with a strap. Abduction is something on the exhale. And here we go. So wherever you are, you may be opening up. You might need to place a strategic hand. Remember, you want to hold for 2 to 3 breaths after you found your edge. So you need to be in a place of comfort and ease. You can always go a little too far sometimes. So come on back in whenever your body is telling you to. And after your 2 to 3 breath cycles, inhale, come back to center, bend this left knee, remove the strap, let the left foot land. And then we're going to return to base bridge once more, right knee bends, and just let them drop to the right now.
See if you can release all through this left hip area, through the left quads, IT band, TFL, everything that helps us to bend with the left side of our body. And then guide on the next inhale, guide the knees back up, back to center, and make your way to Shavasana. I'm going to be sitting upright, but as you get comfortable on your back, lengthening out, you can get a blanket, warm yourself. You can point the toes and then flex the feet and just let them kind of roll away from each other and relax. Do what they naturally will. And as you allow your body to respond for the next few minutes, just focus on the breath. When you hear the 3 bells, we'll awaken from Shavasana. Bringing the mind back to the body. Taking note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to your breath. Feel the air as it enters the nose. And the air may be a little warmer as it exits the nose. As you reconnect to the body, wiggle your fingers, toes. You can start to rock from side to side. We'll meet back up in an easy seated position. That can be staff or with one leg folded out in front of the other, as I am doing. And we'll just have a breathing exercise to end class today. A nice simple one as we're at the 2 o'clock mark. Bringing the hands to heart center. Let's go ahead and press into the palms. Inhaling, engaging the core. Watch the fingertips rise up above our head. Let's release the palms. Exhale, palms down. Engage the core. Sweep up the energy from the belly. Bring the hands to heart center. Inhale, palms up. Exhale, palms away, floating back down. Gathering up the energy. In, hands at the center. One more time. Inhale up.
One last time. Exhale out. Fully exhaled here, hands in heart center. Thank you so much for joining me here at the ACC 2 p.m. Gentle Yoga. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.